This is the Zodiac speaking. I mailed this postcard 1 year after the Kathleen Johns Incident. I like anniversaries, and I like taking credit for things that I didn't do.
This car started flashing its lights behind me. The guy got out of the car and came up and he said my back wheel was wobbly and he could fix it. He went back and he fiddled around and came back and said fine and drove off. And then when I pulled off, the tire fell off.
Hello, this is Nancy Drew, and this video focuses on 3 different things. The first, what Kathleen Johns told different people about who gave her a ride to the Patterson Police Department. Second, it has a little brief synopsis of her life story. And third, the video ends with my interpretation of the Kathleen Johns Incident. Here's a map of the area where the Kathleen Johns Incident took place. So in the top right-hand corner is Modesto, and on the top left-hand corner, that little red circle is where Kathleen Johns' burnt-out station wagon was found. And then in the center of the map is the town of Wesley that does not have a police station. And then at the bottom center is the town of Patterson, where she reported her abduction. Miss Johns then got to the roadway or highway. She finally did get back on a highway or near Highway 132, where she was given a ride by some people who were from Missouri and took her to Wesley. Stumbling down the road, she was picked up by a farmer and his 2 sons and taken to the police headquarters in Patterson. She jumped from the car with her daughter in her arms, was picked up by a rancher and taken to the police headquarters in Patterson. Not another man. The truck driver started coming down the hill towards me, and I just started blowing it. I made him wait until a lady came along, and I rode with her. But then when I got to this little 1-horse town, I rode that old horse to the police station. Okay, maybe she didn't ride a horse to the police station. I kind of added that in. Kathleen Short was born on May 30th, 1947, according to this newspaper article. She had an older stepbrother from her mom's first marriage, prior to her mom marrying John Short. At the age of 8, Kathleen's father passed away. At the age of 11, her stepbrother married this woman and moved away. Around this time, her mother remarried, and you can see from this same city directory that Henry Christensen was living with Constance at 615 Kentucky Avenue in Petaluma. At the age of 12, Kathleen's mother, Constance Margaret Christensen, was arrested for drunk driving, speeding, and crossing a double line, and placed in jail. At age 17, Kathleen married Warren Schaefer on March 1965. Kathleen lived in an apartment with her new husband on Kentucky Avenue, close to her mother's house. At age 20, Kathleen's parents, her stepdad and her mother, got divorced, and she divorced her husband around this time. At age 21, Kathleen married her second husband, Robert W. Johns, on June 2, 1968. Right after graduating from high school, Robert Johns enrolled in the United States military. According to this Petaluma newspaper article about Kathleen Johns' abduction by the Zodiac Killer, it states that Kathleen was on her way to Petaluma to visit her mother, and she stated that she was given a ride by the Zodiac Killer, and that her husband drove down to Patterson and drove her to her mother's house in Petaluma. At the age of 26, Kathleen divorced her second husband during September of 1973 in Los Angeles City. At the age of 28, Kathleen lost her mother. Her mother died on April 20th, 1976. Kathleen Short, Schaefer, Johns, Ransom, Harrelson, and Smith passed away at the age of 54 on May 1st, 2002 in Monterey, California. Here's what I believe happened that night. After driving 6 or 7 hours, Kathleen Johns had car trouble. She either ran out of gas, there was truly something wrong with her back tire, or the engine on her vehicle wasn't working. And so she was forced to pull over to the side of the road and walk to that Arco gas station. At the gas station, she called her husband, and he either refused to come pick her up, or he didn't answer the phone, and it just rang and rang. And she became very frustrated. And then she called a friend of hers in Petaluma, which was about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes drive away from where she was at. When she got back to the old station wagon, she was furious at her husband and lit it on fire. And then she waited the 2 hours for her friend to arrive from Petaluma. She either did or didn't tell the friend what had truly occurred. And then the friend drove her to the Patterson Police Department, but refused to go inside with her, and left her and went back to Petaluma. And then Kathleen made up the story about somebody offering to fix her back tire and give her a ride and abducting her. And Kathleen pointed out on the poster that that was the man that kidnapped her, but she didn't realize that really was the Zodiac Killer. And then the story blew up from there. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and I'll see you next week with a new episode.